Shipping, how do you price it? How do you do it for your e-commerce store? That's what we're going to answer in today's video. Hey everyone, it's Chris here, and today we are going to talk about shipping, a subject that confounds new e-commerce owners all the time. What do I charge for it? How do I actually do it? And we're going to talk about that in today's video. Realistically, no two stores are the same when it comes to shipping. Your ability to negotiate prices, what will fit in particular boxes, which shipping carriers work best for you. It's all about trial and error. So I'm going to go and tell you some of the options available to you, the way that I go about doing it, and then at the end here I'll show you a service that will help you out. And the great thing about it is it starts out free. So let's talk about the options available to us. Obviously, I'm here in the US, so that's going to include things like US Postal Service, Federal Express, FedEx, UPS, and DHL. And if you have larger items, you might need to use some type of freight carrier or white glove service. And obviously, if you're in the UK or Europe or Australia, you're going to have a local post office, a local system as well that you can use. Obviously, in most cases, you're going to want to go with the cheapest option available. Question is, how do you figure out what is the cheapest option available? And the best way to do that is to pretend that you got an order and you got to figure out today exactly how you're going to ship it. So for most people, the US Postal Service is going to be probably your best bet, especially once you're starting out and you don't have any volume. They are by far the cheapest. I've actually had no issues with them. And with upgrades that they've done over the last year, you now get tracking with practically everything that you ship. So that's never a problem anymore. Now, what you're most likely going to start using is things like this, which are the priority mail flat rate boxes. And if it fits into a box and it's under 70 pounds, it will ship anywhere in the US, including to PO boxes, including to military bases around the world as well. So for most people, that's usually the best option. But I want to go over a few other options that are available to you depending on what you're shipping. Now, mind you, in order to use some of these, you're going to need to use some type of commercial service. Now, these services aren't that expensive. In fact, the one that I use actually starts out free. It has a free tier, and I will show at the end of the video here. But a lot of times, this is what allows you to access those commercial pricing that you may not get if you're just going to the post office or doing it on the post office's online site. Now, first of all, if your product is less than 13 ounces or 16 ounces if you use one of these commercial services I tell you about, you can ship your product first class. And in fact, for one of the sites I used to run, that's all I did. I put it into a 6x9, not even unpadded envelope, got labels popped on it, and I would ship anywhere from 97 cents to, at worst, $2.19. Great, cheap shipping options, and for what I was selling, it was nice and discreet. Now, we just talked about the flat rate boxes, but if you're within the same zone or maybe one zone away, take a look at the regional flat rate. It's essentially the same boxes, the same flat rate boxes, but the prices can be upwards of 50% cheaper if you're within the same zone. So it makes sense. So instead of paying like $11 for a medium flat rate box, in the same zone, you might be able to only pay $6 for a flat rate box, which is a huge savings to you, and it will increase your margins. Now, in some cases, you may have to, or you may want to ship United States Postal Service parcel. And this has been around forever. But I want to warn you, all right, if you're shipping to kind of the same zone, it's not a problem. But if you're shipping to very rural areas or even Alaska or Hawaii, those packages can hold up for anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks until they have enough volume to justify sending it over. I had one thing going to Hawaii. It sat in a post office for 3.5 weeks in some area post office in Oregon until they had enough to actually ship it to Hawaii. So be very cautious, because let's face it, your customers are going to be quite unhappy if it's sitting in a post office for 3 weeks because you wanted to save a couple bucks. Now, finally, there is a little secret weapon that you can use with the US Postal Service. And this is what all the subscription boxes use, or at least I'm assuming that's what they use because it's normally the best price. And that's what's called cubic rate shipping. Now, you cannot get cubic rate shipping just going to the post office. You need to use a service. But very simple, with a cubic rate shipping, it's based on zone and it's based on size. And the size is if it's anything less than half a cubic foot, so 0.5 cubic foot, and anything under 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, it has different rates. Now, how do you figure out what your cubic feet are? Well, it's simple. Take your width times your height times your depth, multiply those together, divide it by 1,728, and you're going to get your cubic rate. Now, in some cases, if it's less than, let's say, 0.2 cubic feet and under 20 pounds, you literally can go 9 zones away and it will be less than $10. So if you have smaller stuff that maybe is too big to fit into a small flat rate box, but you don't want to, it's smaller that you don't need to put into a medium flat rate box, take a look at the cubic rate pricing. It's well worth it. It will save you a lot of money. Now, if your boxes are larger, and let's say they won't fit into a flat rate box and you either need to send it through overnight or parcel, what I would do then is take the measurements, again, width times height times depth, and also take your weight, go ahead and pop that into UPS, FedEx, DHL, and US Postal Service and see which one provides you the best price. Starting out, US Postal Service will probably still be the best, but as you build up your volume, it might make sense to look at the other carriers. So let's talk about FedEx for a second. I personally don't use them too much. I have one e-commerce site that uses them a little bit, but what they do have is what's called their Smart Post system. Now, most people don't realize that FedEx does a majority of the air handling for the US Postal Service. So if you were to go out to the Honolulu airport, to the airport out there, you're going to see FedEx planes being loaded with US Postal Service mail, and that's how they get it around the country. So what happens is FedEx will take your package, ships it across the country, and then drops it off at your local post office, who then does the final delivery, and you can save a lot of money on that. It makes sense if you're doing bulkier items and smaller items because it allows you to increase your volume with FedEx as well. And so one last thing I want to talk about is once you've done your volume and you've built it up and you know what you're doing, you're getting orders in, it might make sense to look at what's called a fulfillment service. Now, a fulfillment service is just a company that, like they say, will warehouse and package and ship your products out to your customers on your behalf. So you don't have to touch any of it. Now, the best known one is Amazon FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, but they are by means not the only company out there. Fulfillment services have been around for years and years and years. So you can look around, see which one works best for you. So it still didn't answer the question of how much do I charge? How much do I charge to ship products when people buy things from an e-commerce site? And there, again, it's a difficult question because there's a lot of variables. So the first thing to ask is, do you have any competitors and what are they charging for shipping? So I'll give you an example. If Amazon is selling your product, most likely you're gonna need to provide free shipping in some way, form, or another. It's really hard to compete with free, especially when it's someone like Amazon. So if that's the case, that's something you need to look at. But if you are the sole provider or it's not being sold on Amazon or eBay, you have options galore. Now, you can provide free shipping if your margins allow it. That's something I always suggest. People like free shipping. It takes away a lot of the friction of the buying and people just like it. Now, what I like to do, instead of just providing free shipping across the board, is I'll charge a nominal fee for shipping, but if they order $50 or $75 worth of your products, then you'll give them free shipping. And depending on what cart you're using, you either set up as a coupon, or for example, BigCommerce will allow you to set up anything over X dollar amounts gets qualified for free shipping. And that's a great way to increase your actual order size. So something to take a look at. Okay, great. You tell me all the stuff about free shipping, but you want to know what? I either want to or I need to provide a shipping cost. So how much should I charge and what do I do? Well, rule of thumb here, your bigger, bulkier items, you're gonna pass through a certain percentage of that. If you can eat some of it, if your margins are there, I highly recommend it. My rule of thumb for the sites that I run is I don't charge more than $6 for a shipment, at least domestically. You know, international is a different story, but at least domestically, $6. Anything more, I've discovered, it just kind of, it upsets people, and you're gonna notice your abandoned carts will go through the roof. And what an abandoned cart is someone puts the product in the cart, gets to checkout, and then they abandon it. They never finish checkout. And 9 times out of 10, you can point towards your shipping costs in that case. So any way where you can reduce your shipping costs will be ideal for order placement. Now this next part is for e-commerce owners that are drop shippers. You know, I've done a lot of drop shipping. I still have one site that does a little bit of drop shipping. And what I do is, again, I stick to my rule of thumb, no more than $6 on shipping. Now, a lot of you or some of you are going to be using drop shipping services, and they're going to want to charge you $13, $15, $17, $19. And I'll be honest, you're going to have a hard time passing that through to your customers. You're going to have a hard time finish your cart checkout just because people aren't really willing to pay for that. Again, if you're the sole supplier, that's one thing, but in reality, you gotta keep your shipping prices down. Now, if you don't have enough margin, I'm not sure what to tell you since I don't use any of these services. I normally negotiate directly with either wholesalers, distributors, or the company directly. So just something to think about. You're probably not gonna be able to pass that through. Now, to streamline the whole process, I use third-party services to help me with my fulfillment. Now, in this case, there's tons of them. Stamps.com and Indicia were kind of the pioneers in this, and they've been around forever. But recently, I switched over to a company called shippingeasy.com. And they're a fairly new service, maybe around a couple years now, and they pretty much integrate with everything. They allow you full commercial pricing. They actually allow you to do things like cubic rate pricing, as well as to plug in UPS and FedEx prices and compare those. And the great thing is once you've done your shipping, it will integrate with your cart and tell your cart to mark those as fulfilled, and can even send out emails to your customers. The great thing about it, for starting out, they actually have a free tier. So if you click that link below, there'll be a link below the video here, and you can sign up. They'll give you a demo of it. There's no obligation, but check it out and see if it's worthwhile. It's something to highly recommend. Now, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you think anybody might get use out of it, go ahead and share it as well. Now, don't forget to subscribe so that when I make more videos to help you make money online, they'll show up in your inbox. So thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.